Alright guys, where we left off, we got our neck is always sitting at its 30-degree angle up front. Our backbone, our two down tubes. We got past fish mouthing the down tubes so they sit nice in the backbone, and that vertical cut there, where when the down tubes come together at that angle, they're supposed to fit nice and flush. Alright, well I screwed that up, and I got a little bit of a, kind of a gap like this. There you go, kind of a V like that. I'm not going to let that upset me. I'm just going to have it work in my favor. Why not? If you make a mistake, it's a learning experience. And, you know, own it. Make it yours. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, I've been digging through my scrap steel in the back, and I got this piece of 1/4-inch plate. Now, I got 1/8-inch wall thickness on these 3 tubes. And I know from machining this down myself that the wall thickness is give or take about 1/4 inch. And you know, most of your home TIG welder units, I guess like some of the, I was looking at one last night, I gotta buy one. Because the fellow I wanted to TIG weld this, he's not getting back to me, so I'll just go buy a unit and do it myself. But like a diversion 165 Miller seems to be like the ticket that a lot of guys have, you know, doing stuff at home. And that would be, you know, 1/4 inch, 1/8-inch tubing like this, tubular A-frames, putting a Mustang 2 front-end kit in a 40 Ford or something along those lines. Yeah, that's the cat's pajamas right there. So you can push it to a 1/4 inch, a lot of guys were telling me. So I'll keep everything 1/4 inch. I've got a piece of 1/4 inch plate steel. So what I've done is, this size of the plate steel, I went and got myself my Fruit Loops box. Oh yeah. And I made it the same size. So I can use this piece of steel, because when I go to this place called Metal by the Foot, I'm sure you guys have steel yards around, this is a cutoff, this is the scrap, and they throw it in this pile over there. So I think this cost me $1 or something like that. So I buy it to make little triangular gussets and stuff when I'm doing my crazy bubble cars and Ed Roth stuff. But this is gonna be just right, because this is gonna end up just like that in there. It's gonna be this part of the window area, okay? And like I had said earlier on the DVD, I believe, you know, if you guys are familiar with the factory cast neck, it's kind of flat here and wraps around the tube. And Larry was real hot on taking the support tube out. My pan head's even like that too. Larry and I cut the tube out of it. I left it like this and cleaned it up and did all the body work, and I windowed my neck. But Larry would put like a little tiny kind of a triangular gusset and cut like a knife blade edge on it. And it looked pretty cool. So I'm just figuring, like I said, if I'm going to have this gap between the two and not a real good tight fit, because the backbone to the neck's a tight fit, the down tubes where they meet the backbone here's a nice tight fit, I want to keep that theme going. So, like I said, I'll tack weld these, I'll put the neck out of the way, I'll cut these open so this just slides on up in between the two, and it'll be this window area, and it'll come back like that, okay, for the, like a neck support. And it's going to look like the right thing. So like I had said, I cut this the same size because this is the piece of steel I got, so I'm going to work inside these parameters, inside this rectangle. So that'll end up, you know, we're just going to kind of put it up, and I'm going to cut it to shape, you know, kind of by eye, just like this. So I know that, oh, let me see here. I want this to end up, you know, I guess, about 3/8 of an inch off the bottom bearing here. So I'll say that's right around this neighborhood. I'll mark that, and I'm going to look and see and how much width have I got there. With this against the backbone, I'll measure, oh, and I'm going to say it's about 1 inch. Okay? So then I know if this lower part's about 1 inch away from the neck, to go up top, measure in 1 inch, and then make the diagonal line there. So like I said, if you can see that, I just kind of measured back the inch and drew my line down. Now my trusty pair of scissors, my wife doesn't know disappeared. We'll cut that. And that is right where I think I want it to be. Now because I have this jogged out, because the neck kind of comes down and kicks out for that bearing, I'll have to mimic that on this also. Although actually I don't think I will I? Because I forgot I gotta put that flat piece of steel across in here So I'll have to make sure I leave room for that. So that'll be about 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch. So if I got that line right there, I'd want to figure up so high. All right, and that's going to put me, oh, let's go right there. And that is 1/4 inch right there. All right. And there, all right. So I know that that fits like that, and I can just by eye mimic this. And we'll cut that in. So I'm sure you guys get a general idea here of what I'm doing. Because this is going to be, I'll draw it on the cardboard quick. And that tube's right there, so that'll be like that. And this is going to end up coming straight across here. Like that. So I hope this shows up on the camera. This will be like where the neck is. And it'll go across to the down tubes, and then I'll have it just kind of curve back like that. That's the piece of steel I'll cut to fit in there, and it'll just get welded in. All right, guys, this is what I've come up with off of my Fruit Loops cereal box. That's the shape there, and I'm hoping it's going to look like that when she's up and in the frame. So, like I had said, what I got to do now, I've already started cutting it out. I got this piece of steel as the scrap, and I'll use that as my feeler gauge to make sure that that width is good. So with everything in place, making sure that everything's still the way I want it, this there and there, that, this, I'm going to fire up the MIG welder. I'm going to only put one tack at the top of each down tube to keep them back to where they need to be and together on the backbone. Let's do that. All right, so I still don't have them welded at these butt joints on the rest of the frame. Because you never know, I might have to take this apart for something. You know, I got no idea yet. But the fit of the neck on the backbone is nice. These bent nice, so I know everything's going to be where it's got to be. Because that might be tack welded for good now. But I can still cut it apart if I have to. So now I got my little 1/4 inch feeler gauge. And she's good up at the top there. But I got just a wee bit in the middle there, so I'll have to go in there with something. I guess, like I said, my 6-inch cutoff wheel, and I'll try and shave those sides. All right, guys, I've been working on this, and what I did do, I'll show you how stupid I was. And I took my big-ass grinder, and it's a variable speed. I put it on number 1, which is the slowest. Doesn't make it any more smarter. And I moved the neck out of the way, and I took this and I kind of got it right on up in between here. And I ground away a little bit. But this would catch sometimes, and it could break your wrist. So maybe using a hand file or something might be a whole lot better of an idea there. But I did get I was using this as my gauge. I got it so it's a nice fit in there. And I went ahead and out of the Fruit Loops box, I cut the neck piece, and you can see I've already got it. I've already like beveled all these edges and stuff. Well, this is, yeah, that's the bottom, and this is round. I rounded it off nice, because that's the part that doesn't touch anything. That's the backbone, the neck, and that'll be the bottom, like the lock plate piece. And this is just rounded off kind of nice, and as good as I could get it. I did all the grinding on this with this little 90-degree with the roll-lock disc on it. I believe it's a 50 grit. So, like I say, not really high-tech or anything there. But this here, you know, when I have the neck in place up against the frame, this will just right on in there just like that. And that's pretty slick. So I've got it. just like that. I think that's a pretty good looking neck. And you know, we'll put the flat piece straight across here like that. And I may have to like make little pieces to go in here and box this all off. Well, I'll see you later. But I think, zoom this back out. I think, you know, for the mistake, I would have liked to have had those sit nice and flush, and I would have put like a bar or something. I don't even remember what I said. But I like this. It looks pretty good. There used to be a lot of aftermarket frames came pretty much set up like that, so I got no problems there, man. I think that's pretty slick. I think it looks good. Let's see if I can hold it. Like I say, you know, if you make a mistake, try and own it and make it yours. Like, yeah, you know, I meant to do that. That's just all there is to it. That's going to be one strong SOB, I can tell you that. All right, gang. I got my other part of my Fruit Loop box template here to fit up underneath of the neck like so. And I measured the OD again of my neck, and that was 2 1/4 inches. And then the length from just behind the neck to the face, like straight across that straight edge of the down tubes was 3 5/8, and I have that all kind of, here you go, scribbled out on there, which way is up, that way. So you can see all that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself that scrap piece of 1/4 inch plate steel. And this is, oh, I forgot how wide it was. Let's give that a quick look-see. Oh, it's 2 1/4 inches wide. Duh, that was the radius of this. So 2 1/4 inches wide. I could taper it a little bit, I guess, if I wanted it to come out to the very edges, but it looks pretty good the way it fits. Guys, I don't exactly remember where I left off, but I'll tell you what I did. I went ahead and I made a new gusset. This is the gusset I took out. And I just had the feeling that it wasn't long enough right here in the bottom. And this is the lower plate that goes underneath of it. You just saw me making my new one, and I made little beveled cutouts there. You can see, you know, where I was grinding it. I made these little cutouts to go around the down tubes a little bit. To be a little stronger. I wasn't thinking clearly. And this would sit on the bike like this, and this would just butt up against the down tubes, where this one will sit in the bike like this, a little further in like that, so these go around the down tubes. And I can show you on this. But I got this nice new piece, I cleaned it up. I'm gonna get her in there and tack weld it, and it'll go right in the middle. You know, the highest point of the 2 tubes, with the closest, is right where it'll end. So you see right up in here, on either side here, this is what I'm talking about. These little gaps. And I'll put this plate up there. I can hold the camera and do this at the same time. And you can see what I'm talking about, those little gaps. I could probably maybe build it up a weld to get a little piece of plate steel in there. But I think that's a lot better the way it ends right there like that. I'll show you from the side here and everything. I think that's just going to be a lot nicer, a lot stronger. And, you know, why not? So, you know, that all being said, let me go ahead and tack weld this puppy in place. One tack's pretty good, first to get a good visual on it. And she fits nice. Something I'm going to do is go get my little magnetic level and stick it on the bottom to make sure she's not like little teetered from side to side. So I'll do that when we finish the tack welds. And then, you know, we're pretty much done tack welding everything. And I'll give you a little walk around and we'll just point out some of the things I've done already just to go over them. So give me a second to get that all taken care of. But it's all tacked in, guys. And it looks pretty good. So I guess we'll point the camera at some stuff and just give it a quick little walk around. Try and give you a good view of all angles of this. Underneath there. And I got it beveled just a skosh here to take the weld on the bottom of that neck there. Like I say, I don't know really what to do about in here. I'll probably put a little piece of steel in there and just weld right on over it and fill it in. You can see I got some really excellent gaps, you know, along here, and beveled the edges for the weld and whatnot. And you know, down here, don't forget your rosette welds, and you know, a little bit of beveled edges and stuff here to take some weld, and the other side set up. And a little kick we got in the frame tube. I don't know if I showed you this, but this is the piece I cut off to get in here, and well, I'm going to put that right back. Here you go. This is it here. When this is all welded and done, I'll put that back in there like that. And you can see it really gives that, you know, it looks kind of drastic right now, that bend, but with this piece back on, where it's supposed to be, and I cut it back that little bit so it'll kind of really transition into the backbone a lot better like that there. So all in all, I think this came out really sweet. You know, with just my homemade jig and the, you know, welding table that I use as a frame table also. I'll try and come around and show you the other side here. Should maybe zoom in a wee bit. You know, on this edge here, I rounded that all off, so it'd be really nice after it's sandblasted and painted. Maybe I'll try and get you a head-on view. There you go. Show you some of that straight on down. I hope that's coming out good. I got my hands up over my head. But let me get this back on the stand. And like I say, you know, I just got to, you know, finish weld this, and that should be the end of it. I'm really undecided if I want to, you know, this will all get welded in here around these edges and whatnot. And I'm undecided if I should put a plate on the outside and, you know, box it like they used to, so I can mold it and make it all look pretty slick, and this will all be molded in. You know, I got to talk to Dad about that. Maybe he wants it just left like this, or, you know, boxed over. I got no idea. That's just, you know, it's just a matter of, you could probably use 3/16 plate, you know, something like that. Something smaller if you want. I would use probably 3/16. I got it around. Just cut your little cardboard template, lay a piece in there, and zip, zap, zap the welder, and you're all set. But there we go. We got a self-tail frame that was basically, you know, trash and garbage, literally, you know, in the scrap pile. And, you know, like I said, you can probably get these frames anywhere from $100 to $200 bent up with the neck already missing at swap meets and stuff. And this is like $80 worth of steel here. You know, I did all the machining on this and the slugs for the frame, and, you know, cutting everything else. And you saw how I did it with pretty primitive tools, the drill press and everything. And it came out real sweet. But yeah, this is where we are. I think it looks really good. You guys, you can do this at home. It's really, really, I'd say the biggest deal is having this solid frame table. So let's weld this and move on and do something else. Well, all right, guys. I got my frame back from the welder. This is the one I sent out to have done. And everything's TIG welded by a fella over here in Peculiar, Missouri. He does nothing but dragster chassis, like what do they call them? Pro Sports or Pro Comp. It's like that step before funny car. If you got like a '69 Camaro, the only steel on it's the 2/4 pound roof and the firewall and floor pan. Everything else is fiberglass. It's got that full cage in there and whatnot. That's what he does. So he welded this up for me. He's also at his day, I should say, that's what he does for fun. His day job is he's a union pipe fitter. So he's a welder by trade. He knows his basically his ass from his elbow, I guess is the only way to say it. I got the frame back, and what I did was, because I couldn't weld it in the jig, I let him just take it and weld it. He did like a little bit of a weld, went over here, did a weld, over here did a weld, over there did a weld, over here did a weld. So he walked around to do all the welding. And this rod now, if you remember, I had that in my jig holding everything in place. And remember I pointed out that end of the rod right, ground it down towards a point. Well, now I got that line down the middle of my table. I'll show you all this again. And I put the frame back in and I centered it and everything to make sure that that neck, it didn't do one of these on me from the heat of getting welded. And I'll tell you, it's spot on the money. But I'll show you the welding he did and some of the stuff I still have to do to finish off the frame. Because I had cut this area back. I got to weld the little pieces back in. And they'll cover that weld, so I won't even have to, I already tested these, I won't even have to grind any of this down, it looks like. I can just weld these on and I'll dress that off, and that'll be that, I'll be done with it. Alright, so, we'll start back here. You can see he's got that all welded up nice. And then on up to the neck. Zoom in some of this stuff here. He did exactly what I asked him to do. It might look a little lumpy and bumpy here because you got the weld to this pipe and then the weld to that pipe. So, but in either case, I think everything's fine. I'll show you how this turned out in the back, how that just meets right at that piece straight across. I think that's great. And down here, I asked them to leave the weld a little thick on these, on the down tubes, specifically because I'm going to grind that flush. Because that's got to look pretty right there, that repair, And up here in the neck, I'm thinking, I got to ask my dad what he wants to do, but I was thinking about boxing this off, putting a piece of plate steel, right here against this edge, and boxing it off so I can mold it all in and give it a little bit of that custom look. Now I'll show you my table. When I measure, before I showed you the space between the frame, I make sure that's all good to go. And that line travels down the whole thing, right to here, the important part. Even on my jigs, I put the line. And I'll show you, you can see how I got that point on there, and it's pointing right at that line. See? Come around, and that's right at it. See? Oh, there we go. A little out of focus there. So, let me get this back on the stand now. So that's that. I mean, this didn't walk, it didn't go from side to side. I'm still straight. I am a happy camper. I'm sure my dad will be a happy guy. So that's it, this frame's repaired. Let's go over this. I got the frame for free because the bike shop was throwing it out and it was in their dumpster. My dad took it home. I got 80 bucks in this steel. Granted, I machined the neck. I machined these bungs. So if you have access to a lathe or somebody that does, maybe you could buy your buddy a couple of Fig Newtons and some Yoo-Hoo and get him to machine the stuff for you. I see on eBay guys sell machine necks. I'm sure you can get machine necks. I don't know if these guys sell it or not, but there's like Lowbrow Customs out there. Atomic Trent, I think maybe he just builds bikes. I'm really not sure. There's Chopper Dave. There's a lot of motorcycle guys out there today. I've never met these guys. I'm 51. you know, my heyday of writing for Iron Horse magazine and everything was the early 90s. So I'm really kind of out of touch, other than the guys I know, like, you know, Paul Cox and some of those guys. So I got, like I said, I got the frame for free. I got 80 bucks and all this, and I gave the guy 200 bucks for the welding. I tipped him. It was 175 bucks for all the welding. Now, I had figured the welding was going to be about $200 to $300. So, you know, I'm into this for, figure, let's just say 300 bucks the whole frame. So, I think that's pretty cool. I'll show you what I did with the camera quick. And you guys get the idea from what it was before. Like I said, that where I just got that pipe in the end there. And it's all kind of scraggly looking because I did just kind of grind it all off and stuff quick. I don't know if you can see that good. But that's the right thing for me, man. All underneath in there, and I don't know what the factory had that hole for, but I left it. So, and that's it. It's my cool Softail repaired wrecked frame. So, not too shabby, like I said, for 300 bucks. So, and that's doing it at home yourself and tack welding it. You know, most everyone's got a MIG welder, and sending out the tough stuff to somebody who's an actual professional welder. You know, it works. So that's it for the Softail frame, guys. I don't want to dwell on it any more than I have to now. It's done. I load it in my truck and take it over to Dad. Let him assemble the whole bike. We fire it, run around the block a few times, make sure stuff works. I don't want to make it a set of exhaust pipes and have them cracked after I chrome plate them, so we run it around for a while in brushed steel.